Hello, my name's Jeff Reed, a painter living here in Philadelphia and a teacher at the Community College Philadelphia.
Jeff, I just got to see your new show at Gross McCleaf, and it's fantastic.
Well, thanks very much, John. I appreciate it.
I asked Jeff what the pandemic was like for him.
It was just a very surreal time. I didn't feel as connected to my own painting. So I found myself copying some old master paintings. Then I started painting some still lifes, really just an exercise in looking, but also connecting with the subject. And slowly that led me back to the painting that I generally pursue, primarily landscape. More paintings from Ireland, but a number of paintings from my neighborhood here in Philadelphia. I live in Chestnut Hill.
Before we check out Jeff's Irish angle, let's find out about some of his American pictures. Look at Jeff's wonderful painting of a loaf of bread, lovingly baked by his wife Shay. I told him that when I zoom in, it almost looks like a landscape with mountains.
I think anytime we're painting, we're moving across the surfaces, not just seeing spots of color and value, but there is that three-dimensional aspect. So going into those nooks and crannies is always a fun thing to be doing.
Jeff told me about one particularly beautiful painting done close to home.
At the end of the day, I go for a 50-minute walk. There's a natural lands trust trail, and it's elevated, and it looks west. It's right on the edge of the Wissahickon Park, and that's where that painting was done.
Being a bird watcher, I wanted to learn how Jeff came to paint a purple martin house.
For many years, I would go out to Lancaster County to paint, and there were all these beautiful martin houses. They're like little Victorian hotels for birds, and just as forms, they always had such a wonderful appeal. And one day, I was driving my sons to school, and I saw this martin house on the side of the road, and being the trash picker that I am, I pulled over and picked it up. It was a reminder of those visits to Lancaster County.
This scene is from Mystic Seaport, Connecticut. Having grown up near Annapolis, Maryland, Jeff has always been drawn to communities near water.
My grandmother taught me how to fish and crab.
So you can really handle one of those crab hammers like nobody's business.
Well, it's hard not to be a snob about it.
Though Jeff has painted in many places, there is one that has a strong magnetic pull on his soul. His bond with the landscape of the Emerald Island is so intense, I asked him how deep his Anglo-Irish roots go.
When my grandfather was on his deathbed, I said, "So, Pop, is Reed English or Irish?" He said, "Oh, for God's sakes, your name isn't Reed. Your real name's DeStefano." And I said, "What?" Yes. He said, "Your great-grandfather came over with his family and moved to Baltimore." My great-grandfather, he was the oldest male in the family. He was selling newspapers on the corner in Baltimore to support a lot of younger siblings and his mother. When he was about 14, two kids came up to him and said, "We see you're doing a lot of business here. We want the corner." And he said, "I can't do it. I've got to support my family." So the next day they came back and said, "We told you need to be gone." And he pulled out a gun and shot one of them. Didn't kill him, but he got in trouble, got sent to a reform school, the same reform school that Babe Ruth went to in Baltimore. So after 3 years or so, when he turned 18, he feared retribution. So he took a priest's name that he had befriended in the reform school, and the priest's name was Reed. I go, "You're kidding." And so our name's DeStefano.
Well, I guess that proves you don't have to be Irish to love Ireland. For many years, Jeff has been traveling there to paint and teach at the Ballinglen Arts Foundation. in Ballycastle. He reminisced about his first visit.
My first summer in Ireland, I was there for 2 months. The first month, I felt like I was making postcards because I was going around seeing all these beautiful spots. And that fortunately ended, and I started making paintings after that. I was out painting one day. It was a dramatic sky. I'm sitting there looking at my canvas going, oh, Jeff, you're getting a little bit wild here. You better tone it down. And I backed up. I looked at the painting, and then I looked at what was going on in the sky, and I said, I'm getting nowhere close to actually what is happening. So that experience was very liberating.
That made me wonder, just how does Jeff conceive of these images?
Somebody said, oh, are you a plein air painter or are you a studio painter? And I said, yes to both of those. I love to be outside painting, but I don't have any philosophy that says I have to be 100% outdoors.
I asked him whether the color in this painting was what he actually saw, or did he exaggerate it?
I did bracket the palette to try and achieve a certain light, a real golden light. So on one hand, it's a specific place. There was a specific kind of light. Did I push it in a certain direction? Yes, I did. And I'll tell you something else I did, John. That composition is fairly true to what was going on, but I didn't like the shapes of the hillside, of the fields. I'm a big admirer of quilts, and I was looking at a book of Gee's Ben's quilts, and that's where I got the shapes in the hillside. So I mention that because it talks a little bit about what I do, that I can feel very free to move things around.
I asked for a suggestion for how someone should get started with a plein air landscape.
An important place to look is at the horizon, where the sky meets the land. That is the key to many paintings, emotionally, but also visually and atmospherically. Looking at a sky value and color in relation to the value of the land, it's as if it's setting the stage for some drama or experience.
These days, Jeff often makes paintings in the studio from sketches and drawings done on location. And I noticed a new medium in his show, the opaque watercolor known as gouache.
Gouaches feel like a marriage of drawing and painting. They're new to me, so certainly some frustration coming along with learning the medium, which I'm still learning. But it exposed me to different colors, different way of working, and it's already started to feed the way I paint with oil, the way I think about color. It's really been a positive thing.
Jeff Reed is 67 years old and has been painting for half a century. I asked him what life as an artist has meant to him.
The simple answer is I feel alive, connected to the world around me, invigorated. I get to see things happen that if I was working a more traditional job, I wouldn't see. I've met such interesting people just roaming around the fields. And then to be in the city, the art community. For an artist, Philadelphia is a great place to be. Many, many stories and connections that I wouldn't have had otherwise. It's just been very rich.
Now, are you 100% out of your pandemic painting funk?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I eased my way out in the beginning of the summer, and getting back to Ireland for the month of August was such a wonderful thing to be able to do, and that absolutely got me out of the funk.